I thought you and I were supposed to have a break from topics during the off season of football. Well, you're 2 weeks into it, and there's been no off season, and quite frankly, there never really is. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about on a Thursday night. It's good to be back on 7 p.m. on Thursdays. We are not able to go live at 7 p.m. on Thursdays during the football season, but we're back. We're live. We're ready. It is springtime, and Thursdays are normally popping during baseball season. Need you to do me a favor. Hit the like and share. We greatly appreciate all of those who do hit that like and share. All week, I have not addressed the Kiren Lacy incident that happened over the weekend. I had planned on not talking about that incident because it was none of my business. I purposefully did not talk about it for multiple reasons because I didn't think that I can control what I needed to say. I am glad Kiren is okay. I very much hate that somebody passed away in the alleged situation that he is in. If you don't know what happened with Kiren Lacy over this past weekend, so we're early at the end of the week, but there was an incident involving a vehicular homicide where it was determined by the Louisiana State Police, if I'm not mistaken, that he was the driver. He went to jail, got bonded out. You pretty much probably know the story by now. I hate when situations like this occur with anyone. Man, I cannot imagine that happening. I've had scary moments in my life. I think some of you remember when I got in a car accident 2 years ago. I think that, I can only imagine what your mind goes through when you hear tragic news like that. It is a very unfortunate incident. Apparently and allegedly this morning, Colin Hurley, well, not allegedly, he's in the hospital. Colin Hurley was found unresponsive after he rammed a vehicle into a tree on LSU's campus. Let me first start off by saying I am very much happy to hear from the statement from the Colin Hurley family that he is going to be okay. It doesn't matter about his football status at the current moment, or is he going to get reps during the spring? None of that matters. Is he in stable condition? Is he okay? Is he going to be okay? Now, as the latest report said from the Hurley family, is that doctors will continue to run some tests, which I would assume would be for internal bleeding, hemorrhaging, anything like that. Like, hey, man, let's make sure you're fine, and then you can leave. And I'm glad that they're going through extra precautions to make sure he is okay. My rant about this to start off a show is simple. To any young athlete that's out there listening, to anybody that's under the age of 25, hell, it may even be to you, no matter what your age is, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Going out, being out late, early in the mornings, I don't know the situation of what the young man was in, and I'm not going to speculate on it. Nothing comes good from it. Driving around stupid. Nothing good comes from it. Absolutely nothing. I am glad that Colin is going to be okay. I am glad that Kiren is okay. I very much, in a deep, passionate spot, hate that somebody died. And again, I'm saying allegedly. I was not there. I do not know. I do not know the situation. What I do know is that somebody died. And they found Colin Hurley unresponsive at the wheel. I don't think that that's a joke, really. Right? We all make mistakes. I've made mistakes. You've more than likely made mistakes. I'm not going to condemn somebody for stuff that we've all done. What I will say is I feel like even you guys probably can't see this, but there's a little red tint. You could probably see it right here as I'm pointing at it. Even the beard's got some gray in it. That some of the gray comes with a little bit of wisdom. And the wisdom that I just want to tell everybody here, doesn't matter your age, your gender, whatever you identify as, if that's what you want to do, I don't really give a Rudy poo. But all I care about is that your two LSU players are okay. What I'm also telling you is the wisdom that I've gained, none of it's worth it. And I hope that it gets through to you that none of this shit is worth it. It's not worth your life. Because majority of these young athletes, if any of you are listening right now, you know, I had he wanted me to give him a shout out. I'm finally going to do it. I had a nephew, Oliver, who wanted me to give him a shout out. And like if he's listening to this, and I probably shouldn't be cursing when I'm saying this, but if any young athletes listen to this, please, good Lord, remember, drinking and driving, leaving the scene of an accident, all of that, allegedly. And I'm not saying any one of them did it. I have no clue. Have no clue if Colin Hurley was what he was doing. I'm just saying in general. Being out until 3 a.m, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And I hope that the situation where we're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense of why he was out that early. Maybe he's coming back in from Florida. Who knows? Who knows the situations? But it's just not worth to be out that late or that early. It really isn't. On the Kiren Lacy incident, the only thing that I'm going to say is this. 2 lives were completely ruined in that situation. LSU does not necessarily have, and I saw people say this today when we had posted some of the stuff about Colin Hurley. Some had said like, hey, that's 2 really bad incidents with this LSU football team back to back. I think that is, until further notice, for my thought process, it is not the norm of what happens here. You've had some players have some run-ins with the law, but if we're being honest, I think things have, from a public display of things have kind of died down a little bit. I hope that these tragic incidents, these very, very tragic incidents, gets to every young man that is in that locker room. Brother, I will pay. I will do an NIL deal sponsored by Uber to get dudes home from not drinking and driving, or you not being responsible in what you need to be responsible in. But I don't know. I'm not trying to hint at anything either. I'm just saying, I think you know the message that I'm trying to get across. College kid, late at night, you get what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm going to take my platform and this time to say it isn't worth it. Uncompletely related to Colin Hurley. Not driving crazy. It's not worth it. I will contact Uber every single day until I get a deal with them. We'll do an NIL deal with them. Hey, man, free whatever. You have $200, $300, $500 a semester that you can use Uber for. Here it is. Like, come on, man. Come on. So I do think it's funny that some people try to point the finger at LSU today, but that's really crazy. Okay, lots to get into. LSU coaching shake-up. There is some coaching shake-up here. We'll talk about Nick Brissett, Jacoby Stevens. I think both of them had today when they were reported. I think both of them had. How do I want to say this? I think the narrative of why they won't be on LSU staff next year is not accurate. That's how I'll say it. So we'll get into that. Still need to hire a tight ends coach. I do think very soon you'll even start hearing names if a hire's not going to be made very soon. I do think that they want to make this hire within the next week, if not sooner, if not even tonight. I think that there are some guys that they have talked to. I do feel that the Green family has somewhat of an idea, and I think that we'll talk about some of them. Some names that I hear, but we'll see. We'll get into a natty preview. National at the end of the show, I'll give you my pick. We went 118-41 this year, and the picks that I've given you either here or Ruffino and Joe show 118-41. Now next year, Joe's making me do against the spread, so that's fine. We'll give you our record every single week. Every single week, we'll give you our record. But in straight up pick'ems, 181-41. We'll preview the national title going into Monday. Oh, and by the way, if we have time, I'll talk about this Title IX thing. I probably should just even do it now. In case you missed it, Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports did report that with President Trump's administration coming in on Monday, that there are some situations in reference to TV revenue share for college athletics. And they basically apparently today in some Senate hearing committee said, don't forget about Title IX, and you'll be going against Title IX if you don't do 50-50. Here's what I'm going to say. In reference to Title IX, when it comes to TV revenue share, I understand that Title IX needs to be in place for scholarships when it comes to men versus women athletics. This is a different beast. TV revenue, Title IX, when Title IX was created and enforced on college sports, it literally does not mandate or dictate, for that matter, what TV revenue money would be. That rule and law was made before the NIL era. Okay? If LSU football is generating the money that they are generating when it comes to TV revenue money, I'm very interested to see what happens here. But now, with the new administration coming in, they're wanting to combine everything 50-50. I don't think that that's fair at all. I think that football has been taking the brunt of covering for every other athletic group at every institution around the country. I don't think that that's fair. I think that even when you go from like a USA soccer or an Olympic teams, men make more than women do. USA men's soccer generated a pool of money when players got paid at $6 billion. They got paid more because they generated more money. The women's soccer league or team generated a pool from $300 million. It's a massive difference. So we talk about pay and we talk about what is fair and what isn't fair. Our own country is telling universities that they have to do X, Y, and Z and make it 50-50 in college. But then when it comes to how they represent things as a country, as a force, they don't do the same. Now, those things aren't connected all in one, but I think that if you must do TV revenue share, which some of you are like, Blake, what in the hell are you talking about with TV revenue share? Newsflash, college players are going to get paid TV revenue money, whether you like it or not. I understand why Title IX is there. I get it. I understand it. This is a whole different beast, and this is why the Supreme Court has to act now. And quite frankly, I think college football needs a commissioner that can go on Capitol Hill and say, we've been fitting the bill for every other team and every other sport. They are on their own. Or if they're not on their own, we're taking 80% of our profits. I think that's more than fair. You're giving a 20% handout so that you can have other teams. It's going to open up the question of private equity. Now, some of you think that that's crazy. There is a lot of people that are billionaires talking about private equity and buying college football teams because of the money that it would generate. Be interested to see who would buy LSU. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do everything I can to have part ownership. If I got to go take out a $10 million loan, I 1,000% would do it. Be like a 25% owner, operator. Anyway, I know that normally when I talk about Title IX, I get absolutely abused in the comments. I understand that. I understand why. I've had multiple parents from non-generating revenue sports at LSU really come after me. Some very hateful shit in the DMs. Very hateful shit. And like I told you then, and like I'm going to say now, it's not fair to football that they're fitting your bill. It's not. Sorry, it just isn't. Let the school that has a massive endowment do it. Why are you making football do it? So basically, the school doesn't want any part of it, but they're making a whole nother athletic department pay for sports that's not generating the same amount of money. It's a mess. It's a complete mess. All right. Any super chats off in here? I don't think we have any super chats. That's cool. Lars, I haven't seen Lars in a while. He says LSU is soft, and that's not going to change as long as Chota is the head coach. Chowda? I hope that you're wrong, Lars. I hope that you're wrong. But normally when you make indirect statements like that, sometimes they come to bite you in the ass. I hope this one comes and bites everybody in the ass who thinks that Brian Kelly can't do it, because it ultimately doesn't care if you're right or wrong. It just means that we win a national title, which is the only thing that you and I care about. All right, let's get to a break. Let me talk to you about our good friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy offers a unique approach to fantasy sports with its simple pick'em style format. You can select players you believe will outperform the expectations, and guys, with the playoffs here, you may want to do that. Without complexities and a traditional DFS, Underdog is the place to go. Use the promo code AYS. That's AYS. When you go over to Underdog Fantasy, your chance for a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, go over to Underdog Fantasy today. Use that promo code AYS. That way they know your boy sent you on by. All right, quick break. We're going to come back. We got lots to talk about. We'll take some comments throughout the show as well. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating.
J&J has protected Louisiana homes and businesses for over 60 years.
Call him today, make the pests go away. J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
Okay. So LSU is making some staff moves here. Now, you already know about one of them, and Slade Nagel being the OC at Houston. There are some other ones that I think are coming down the pipe. Some that we don't talk about a lot because not necessarily they're not the big talking pieces until they're hired. But there are some firings, and I mean firings, that happened along LSU today. Jacoby Stevens, it was announced that Jacoby Stevens, the former five-star from Tennessee, wore number 7 at LSU in the 2019 LSU national title team, will not return to the team. I think that could have been worded a little bit differently. Regardless, look, man, I think that BK's just shaking some things up. I think that the place needs some shaking up. I didn't know or think that it would come from these types of positions. But listen, man, I mean, you had an OC that went to Houston. You had an OC that went to Charlotte. Paul Turner, who was one of the more up and coming guys that people kept talking about. Paul Turner goes to Charlotte as well. You got some shakeup and some new guys that you're bringing in that can either be really good or it can be really bad. I don't think the shakeup is a problem. Depending on who you go and get, I don't think that it's a problem. What I do think is with a guy like Jacoby Stevens, business is business. Business is business. Oh, BK, it ain't good. He's firing former players. I've seen you all over social media all day. Oh, he shouldn't be doing that. He's firing guys that used to play at LSU. Well, were they doing a good job? Were they doing a good job? I'm not trying to be cold, but I what was the details of why BK, who knew the media hit that it would take of not bringing him back, why didn't he do it? You think that it's just because he doesn't like the kid or whatever. That's not the case. What is the case, okay, is that when you have a bad season that is under the level of where you want to be, and if you think that shakeup is not going to happen, especially with players from the old administration, I don't know what to tell you. Some have called this today from the firing of Jacoby Stevens and the firing of Nick Brissett, the running back, the former running back who was on staff. Guys, the fat was going to get trimmed. And if you're going to trim some fat, you're going to start off with guys who weren't your players. I think you're in a tough situation, a very tough situation. But unfortunately, that's the business that they are in. I don't think that either one of them, even though it was reported, I will go against it. I really don't think that either one of them were blindsided by being let go. What I do believe is that you're going to shake some things up. And guys, quite frankly, I mean, I'm surprised that it's only this. Now, I do think that there is potential that guys will be moved around. I think that there is potential that maybe some other people will be fired. I don't know. I just don't know. But in reference to Jacoby Stevens and in reference to Nick Brissett, which Nick Brissett was the one that I think people were confused by the most. I don't think, from some things that I have been told, I don't think that Nick Brissett was doing the things that he needed to do to help LSU win a national title. I don't know Nick like that. I've never really met him. I've only seen him at practices. I don't know him. But from some of the things that I hear, I don't think that he was doing what he needed to do. Frank Wilson is as LSU of a guy as anybody. And I do think that Frank has a massive hand in some of these guys that are hired and in that building. Austin Thomas as well. And it's not as if that Scott wasn't here during that administration too. And quite frankly, I think that when you make decisions like this, it's not only all coming from the head coach. I think that the head coach is right-hand dude. I think that other administrators, I think that there's a massive thought about what they're going to do and where they're going to go. From a hiring standpoint, at minimum, the two people that have to be talking about them or talking to each other the most are clearly the AD and clearly the head coach. So I do think that Scott and BK and others are having these conversations of what they believe that they need to do. It sucks. I don't like seeing former players coming back here and not having success. I want them to have success. BK didn't believe that they were up to standard of what he wanted for his program. Here's the thing, too, that I want to make very well known. I don't mean this in a wrong way either. Analysts and front office people, okay, which Jacoby was an analyst, Nick was in more of the front office. The experience factor and where you're spending money now is becoming a big deal. I do think that some of these positions have some new look, this administration, from a football aspect, has taken a completely new direction and gone a completely new different direction and how they see the front office needing to be run. It's just how it's going. And I think that some cuts, because of other guys that you want to bring in, some other cuts had to be made, sacrificing or no. But to be honest with you, there are other analysts that I think that you want to go after, and you're trimming some fat to go after them. Because analysts are a big deal now in the coaching world. Why is that? Now you can have and have analysts on the field during practice coaching. So technically, Brian Kelly can have as many assistants as he wants, or analysts, as he wants, and it doesn't really matter. I say all that to say, too, that there is things tied into with the tight ends coach that we'll get to in a little bit more detail in a little while, okay? But I do think that there is just a mind shift. I think that there's people, we're trying to go into a different direction here. I think that there are things that, I'll just be real with you, I think that this is why it's taken 2 weeks, 16 days since these moves have been made, because they've been contemplating on how they're going to restructure some things. And unfortunately, this is what's happening. I think that you should expect, quite frankly, for more of this to take place, especially when administrative teams in football are going to a more front office feel. It's going to happen. It's unfortunate. I don't like people being fired from their job. I don't like it. I don't like when people get fired from not making money, regardless of how high or how low. It doesn't really bother me. It's not my business. What does not bother me, what does very much stand out to me is I think that you're going to be bringing or trying to bring in some people that maybe need to come in, be an analyst, like maybe a Steve Sarkisian was an analyst for Nick. I do think that you'll start seeing, and I think that's an extreme case. Actually, that's a very extreme case. I don't know if you go that far. I do think that you're going to go that far in the sense of now that these guys can coach, now that these guys can be on field and coach, that things start becoming a lot more different. I hate it for Jacoby. I hate it for Nick. And I know that there's a sentiment out there for Nick right now in reference to that he was blindsided. I don't know how. And I'll leave it there. I have no idea how. When you listen, when you're in an office like that, especially a state office and a coaching office, you play politics 24/7. When you just think that you're always safe because of who you are, people will backdoor you. It's just the nature of the beast and how life is run in office politics. Don't act like you don't have them, because we all know that we do. So I do believe that is where you're trying to go. If we're being real, the reason I'm not, number one, wasn't going to freak out anyway, but the number one, if I'm you and if you had some kind of like ill feeling towards this being a bad thing, I'm not here to stop you from feeling that way. What I am here to do is tell you, I think it's a smart way to move. If that's what you're going to do, and I do think that you're going to do, I think it's a smart move. Some of these lower coordinators, let me tell you what I would do. This is what I think they're trying to do. I've heard some things of them trying to bring some people in. They got to bring some people in. But if I were in Brian Kelly's shoes, which I'm not, and you tell me that I have X number of dollars to spend, we're going to trim some fat to go get some other guys that actually can help us with play calling and can actually help us do other things and break down film, and we break down things, I'm going to do it. I don't need a director of high school relations. The only thing that sucks about the high school relations part, is that was Charles Baglio's role, and they're doing away with the position. And I think that you just don't need that role. You can go use that same money and even spend a little bit more to go get somebody on field and put them on field. By the way, you got to pay TV revenue money. So you're going to have to trim fat everywhere. Trim that fat. I'm trying to do it. Trim that fat. And I hate to characterize it like that, but that's just the truth. All right. Before we get to some comments here, tight ends coach. We're not talking about it a lot. I brought up a couple names. I will tell you. There are names that I feel that are being floated out there. I do not know what direction that Brian Kelly is going to go. The next things that I am about to say are strictly opinion. And I mean it. Strictly opinion. I do think that there are some guys that are out there that are very interesting that I think, number one, either have a connection to current staff, meaning Joe Sloan, or number two, guys that Brian Kelly wants and potentially would want to bring in. I think that you need to bring somebody in at tight ends coach who knows a lot about the running game. There is somebody out there named Alex Atkins, the former OC of Florida State, that is very interesting to me. And I'll come back to that in a moment. you have gone full out with Joe Sloan on what they want to do throwing the football around. I think the other half of your staff and somebody that's actually been a play caller at a high level that can help Joe in run game situations, I think is where you need to go. That is personally what I would do. I don't know where BK will want to go. The reason I would go there is because you have a guy in Joe Sloan that comes from a system, whether it be college or where he's been when it comes to his coaching career, is they want to, guys, it's Louisiana Tech. It's Louisiana Tech. The system that he came from. I don't think that you can get away with that in this conference. I think that you're going to need to bring somebody in that can teach you and help you in the running game. And I say teach. Nobody's teaching Brian Kelly the running game. That's poor choice of words by me. But someone who can come in and implement and help and start developing run game system stuff. Let Joe call it, but this is how we're going to design it. This is what we're going to do. Now, Alex Atkins is interesting. Alex Atkins has actually coached tight ends before. The former O-line coach at Florida State and offensive coordinator. I know that you have some receiving guys in that room with Trey and some receiving guys in that room with Bauer Sharp. But you also have guys in J.D. LaFleur and Donovan Green who are also in there. Trey biggest weakness is going to be, or his biggest weakness right now in general, is being on the end line of scrimmage. You bring in an O-line guy to help him and mold him and develop him, then he starts becoming all around and not being a weakness in your running game. It could be a big strength. Same with Donovan Green. Other than it's not his biggest weakness. It is of my opinion that Bauer Sharp, okay, I think Alex would be interesting because he still ran an offense. He still talked to receivers. He still has a connection of what he wants to do. I'm not saying Bauer Sharp is a receiver, but he's more of a receiving tight end. And you can hire an analyst that can help in the receiving department of that. But you need to bring Alex in. That would be my choice. I don't know if that's where LSU is going to go. I don't. I do not know if that's where they're going to go. Okay? What I do know is it's the move that I would make. I do think that it would give Brian Kelly the ability to maybe take a step back from play calling and not being so micromanage. I wish he would micromanage more, if I'm being honest, from a play calling aspect. But I think that that's if this is how you're going to construct things, it's what you got to do. Alex Atkins, the thing that I would say about that, he did get popped for some recruiting violations. Okay. Like, all right. Okay. The other name that I've heard is Tim Leger. Or the rumors that are flying around. I do not know if that's where they're going to go. No clue. I think that it would help your play calling situation if you went after a play caller. I really do. It really depends on, too, who you bring in for an analyst role, right? Like it really would. But I would go with Alex Atkins. I can't stress this enough. It's what we're going to be talking about all offseason. Guys, if you're going to take that next step, you got to be able to run the football. And I want to make sure of something very quickly before I make this statement, because I don't want to make a wrong statement. But I remember it from memory. So I don't want to misremember, and I don't want to get this statistic wrong. Okay. Didn't happen this year. Let's go to other years. I'm pretty sure that Brian Kelly has never, outside from a running back position, had 1,000-yard rusher. Didn't in 23. Pretty sure he didn't have one in 22 either. He didn't in 22 either. You haven't had a running back rush for over 600 yards? Caden Durham had 753 this year. Josh Williams had 482. Okay, so 753. Guys, you got to get a back that can do that, man. I'm sorry. You got to run the football better. You simply got to run the ball better. Squad, go there. I mean, I'm throwing everything at the wall at this point. I can't mentally. I cannot get past you not being able to run the football and being 104th in rushing offense, and us thinking that we don't have to take a massive leap there to be better. Guys, if we come into the next off season, and LSU went from 104th in rushing to the mid-50s, the mid-40s, it's a massive leap. If you do that, if you actually do that, you are going to a playoff. I don't give it. Nuts can turn the ball over as much as he has been, which I don't think that he's going to, but he still can have those. And I feel that you can go 10-2 because I know that means that you can beat USC, and I know that means that you can beat Florida. And by the way, I know that Clemson just got a new DC and Tom Allen. And it's going to be interesting to see how they look defending the run. Guys, a team in Texas could not stop them from running the football. 290 yards, a team in Texas who could not run the ball all season to save their life, went in to Austin, Texas, and beat the dog shit out of Clemson on the ground. Run the ball. Run the ball. All right. A couple of Super Chats comments before we get to a break here. Christian Burris with a $2 Super Chat says, is BK getting any NFL noise? That would help us. I have not heard that at all. Yep, I have not heard that at all. Samuel says Tom Herman has been floated. I'll be real with you. I don't think that Tom Herman would be the guy. And thank you, Samuel, for the Super Chat. I don't think he would be the guy that I would hire. I don't. Guys, I can't get out of my head if it, like, say they did hire Tom Herman. I remember when a kid flipped on him on signing day, and he flipped him off. Like the camera was showing him, and he flipped him off. Y'all remember that? I do not want Tom Herman. I think Alex Atkins would be a lot better for what you're trying to accomplish. I do. And look, I would feel that would make Brad Davis uneasy. That would make Joe Sloan uneasy. That would make so many people in that room uneasy. The reason it would make them uneasy is mainly due to the fact that I'm saying that, hey, I want a new O-line guy. I want a guy that's been a coordinator at a P4 school. I mean, it would be intimidating because BK could go to him. It wouldn't be out of the realm of going to Alex Atkins as a play caller, or in that being in that situation. Hell, we went up against him twice and he whipped our ass. He whipped our ass. If we just going to call it like we see it, everything on Alex Atkins of why Mike Norvell and them sucked. It's not on Alex Atkins to bring in DJ Uyunglele, or however you say it. Excuse me. It just isn't. It just isn't. Lars Carville, thank you, with a $20 super chat says, enjoying the stream. Yeah, Lars, we hadn't seen you in here in a while. Glad to have you in here, and thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that you were joining the show and that you sent us a super chat. Thank you so much, man. It means a lot. You know, it's tough, man, being in this business by yourself, doing this full time. It's difficult. Every time y'all do it, man, I greatly appreciate it. Keeps us ticking, keeps us going, man. I greatly appreciate it. Spectrum Wellcare says Sloan is a quarterback's coach, not an OC. This is my ultimate thoughts on Joe Sloan. I've been kind of cagey on all of it. I haven't really gone after him or stuck up for him. I've kind of played Switzerland. There are two things. Do I think that Joe Sloan had a rough year one at LSU? Yes, I do. I think he would admit that things did not go well in some areas. I think he'd fully admit that. Where I defend him is, look, y'all can get mad. I don't give a damn. I think his quarterback missed too much. I think there were some play calls that were in there that, quite frankly, that were good enough, and Garrett did not execute them. Simple throws, too. And before you say, well, that's on Joe to get him ready, quite frankly, you're going to have to convince me that he didn't get him ready for it. Like, legitimately. Because I'm not convinced. That is the truth. The way that I see it, whether you agree or disagree, is that there were a lot of good moments and there were a lot of bad moments. And some of those bad moments are because of turnovers. Some of those bad moments are because of non-execution on a good play call. Some of them, I think he tries to get too lateral sometimes. I think his run game system's not good enough. I think he's going to have to figure that out quickly. And I don't think I think he needs help there. I don't think he's without burden in this situation. But there are a lot of 50-50 moments for me, man. Like, hey, I can see it going either way. Lucas Abear, what's up, Lucas? With a $5 super chat says that was a momentum game against Baylor for next season for Garrett. I think he's trying to say Garrett. I hope so. I really do hope so. Baylor is not a team that I think could test you offensively. I think Baylor has a good coach. I think Baylor has a really good coordinator as a head coach. And I think that Garrett's one real mistake was when you had a dropout and he didn't see it and he threw the ball. I think that even some of the play calling, like as an example of not getting Chris Hilton the football in the second half, that's idiotic. Right? Like that's very much idiotic. Garrett's got to take a massive step too in one area and one area alone. Because he's got to cut his turnovers in half. Having 10 turnovers on the year is not asking a lot. It really isn't. It really, really, really isn't. Because he had 17. Right? Like, I mean, that's a lot, man. That is a lot. You can think I hate, so many people think I hate the kid. We get in this debate so much. And I know I bring it up so much because I know the backlash that I get. I'm not looking to get in a fight or argument with you. What I'm just saying is that there are so many data points that when you turn the ball over, you're not going to win. Explain to me why you went 8-4. So many of you complain to me and argue with me. Why did we go 8-4? Please. It is mind-boggling how stupid some of you can be. And I mean that out of love. All right. Let's get to a break. We'll take some more of your questions next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back. Okay. I do need to bring up a comment. A lot of you are bringing them out there. D Payne says, bro called us stupid with love. Oh, man. This is where I got to apologize. I'm sorry. My bad. I get carried away. That's my bad. That is my bad. I shouldn't have said that. But you're right. I should not have said that. But it's just true. It's just true. Penn Jones says, Blake, you have to admit the lack of running game led to a lot of those turnovers. Not a lot of them. I'll give you some of them. I'm not giving you a lot of them. It didn't lead to the USC turnovers. It didn't lead to the A&M turnover. The reversing field and throwing across your body to a jump ball for a guy that was 5'8" is not on your lack of running game. It isn't. Sorry, it isn't. The Florida turnovers, the fumble. Nobody is around Garrett. No one. Will gets a little pressure given up. And I mean a little pressure. I posted this on Twitter. I posted the screenshot from, I think it was from the All-22 and from the TV view. Kiren Lacy is wide-ass open. I say wide-ass open. Kiren Lacy is open. He scrambles right because Will's giving up a little bit of ground instead of Garrett standing his ground and rifling that bitch down the field. There is no excuses. I am like Herman Boone from Remember the Titans. I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts, and then you will run a mile. Perfection, gentlemen. I am not expecting you to be perfect. I'm just not. I don't think you threw the ball 492 times when Joe was here. Gosh, you didn't have double-digit turnovers. Same with – that's a tough comparison. I'm comparing him to Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. Guys, it just cannot happen. It can't happen. Rick Cloetti says we're 8-4 because we couldn't run the ball and stop the run. 100%. Especially you couldn't stop the run. You got your ass whooped. Lars says we threw the ball too much. Well, you kind of had to Penn's point, but the turnovers are no excuse. Alexander Taylor says back into the secondary turnovers and couldn't get off the field on third down. 100%. Jamie says that red zone offense was complete ass. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that so much last night. Go watch last night's show. Guys, you did so many good things, but I mean, turnovers, not being able to run the ball, and red zone offense, you were complete ass. Andrew Paulshub says red zone offense could have 5 downs and still would not convert. I know. You had 4 of them. You couldn't convert from the 1 yard line. I'm trying to see. Did we have somebody named Plain? Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I've been drinking. I meant to help out. Oh. Corey Rogers says, I still think we should see if Steve Ensminger wants to come back out of tight ends. I don't think Brian Kelly would ever allow it. Anyone know where the line comes from? Run the ball, Bert. Run the damn ball. We need a spark in LSU's ear. We just need better run game, man. I think running backs are lined up on the wrong side. You don't have a quarterback that has any threat of wanting to show any mobility. That hurts you. There are a lot of factors. A lot of factors. All right, we'll see y'all soon, man. Y'all have a good night. Have a good weekend. Peace.